Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy III for the Nintendo Famicom. Last episode, we had just gotten Noah's Lute to wake up Une, but instead of doing that, we instead took a detour over here to Amor. We ended up changing all our classes, and we're going to do another optional dungeon. Just selling off a bunch of this old gear so that I have room in this new dungeon to get all the treasures and materials that I'm going to be picking up there. So I'm going to head over here, heal up at the inn, buy a bunch of high potions as well. This dungeon, like I said, is really hard because we probably shouldn't be going here for another few levels. So the enemies are going to hit us pretty hard, and we're going to have to use a lot of healing because none of our characters have any magic to heal them. So the only healing I'm going to be able to do is either in or out of battle with high potions. So I want to make sure we stock up on them. And once we do that, we're just going to head to the dungeon. It's another undersea dungeon, so this is the first time we can really access it now that our Nautilus can turn into a submarine. So we just head down here, go to the immediate east of where Golder's Manor is, sink down, and on the eastern side here is the cave, the Sunken Cave. There's a bunch of really good treasures in here. We'll end up getting a second Defender Sword for Fang, and some other pretty good weapons for our other characters. So, our new characters, new jobs I should say, we have the Viking there, the Tupelo is. The Viking gets 12 points for fighting, and 8 points for defending or using an item. The Black Belt that Tangeweenie is, they get 12 for fighting and using the boost command, and 4 for using an item. What the boost command does is basically it stops, they take their turn rather than attacking, they take their turn to double their power, so they deal twice as much damage the next turn. So you might think, well, what's the point of that? You just do 2 attacks regularly, and you'll do the same damage. Well, it's good for enemies that counter, because you'll only have to eat 1 counter as opposed to 2 counters. And also, there are some enemies later on that we'll run into that are called splitting enemies. Basically, if you hit a splitting enemy without a dark sword, the enemy will split into a second copy. So sometimes what you want to do is, rather than hit the character and have them split, you spend that turn building up your power, so then when you attack with the Black Belt, they can take out the enemy in 1 hit and they don't split. So, and then finally we have Baby Moo as the Bard. A Bard is like support character. Their sing command is actually their fight command, and they can do that as long as they have a harp equipped. They get 12 points for singing or cheering. Cheering raises the stats of all your characters, so it's good for longer battles. It helps increase their ability, their attack power. Scare, on the opposite hand, debuffs the enemies. It lowers some of their stats, makes them easier to hit, but not as much as the cheer boosts your character stats, and they get 4 points for using an item. So yeah, if you're cheering with your Bard and building up the power with your Black Belt, sometimes you can, take out some of those splitting enemies. We're actually going to run into one of the splitting enemies later on. On the bottom floor, there's these 4 chests that are hidden, and all those 4 chests have some pretty good items in them, and they're guarded by a monster. So like how way back in the beginning of the game, we ran into that the Right Slayer chest in Sassoon Castle. It had, when we opened it up, there was a griffin that came out and attacked us when we got that sword. So we're going to run into, chests that have monsters in them. So one of them is a splitting enemy, but we're going to have a good way to deal with that enemy coming up. We're going to get an item here, so I'll point it out when we get to it, though. So yeah, you see enemies hit pretty hard there. Unfortunately, they got a critical hit there on Tangeweenie and knocked her out, but we'll get her back on her feet with a good old Phoenix down. So the Oglahai is the crab monster, the Kelpie is the sea lion there that we just took care of. So, yeah, got quite a few new enemies here. Good thing we have, like I said, the Knight, because before Tangeweenie gets back on her feet, she's in that critical state, so Fang will actually block, will take a hit for her if the monster decides to attack. So, but luckily we finished the monster off before it got to attack us, so yeah, you can see all these high potions are coming into use here. So, one of the good things though is because these monsters are really tough, we're getting some really good experience off of them. So that's one of the reasons why I ended up selling that otter head, because I figured, hey, might as well walk out of this dungeon when I finish it rather than warp out, because I'll get some good experience. So compared to my test run where I did a little bit of grinding, whatchamacallit, I'm about 4 levels behind. So and that's mainly because I grinded for that extra attack power up to level 27 when before I fought Garuda. So all those extra levels, I missed them. So new enemy here, the Killer Hermit. So nothing too big about them. So Tupelo, you're gonna get a new weapon eventually then too. So, actually we want to get that weapon for Fang though first really quick, because that's really gonna help his offensive power there. He only has one weapon to defender. One of the good things about like the defender sword, basically when you're having two weapons, not only does it like basically double your attack, it can kind of almost sense more than double your attack. So, say right now that Fang has one sword and can deal 3 hits with that sword, gets 3 attacks with that sword, and the enemy has 2 dodges, can dodge two of the attacks. So Fang will only hit the enemy once if he's wielding one sword. But if he wields 2 swords, now he has 6 attacks. The enemy can still only evade 2 of those attacks based on the enemy's evasion. So now rather than hitting it once, you're going to hit it 4 times, because all 3 of the attacks from the secondary weapon are going to get through. So it's not just like doubling your attack power. In some cases, you know, depending on the evasion of the enemy, you can, like in the example I just gave, you can quadruple your attack power. So Dual Tomahawk is much better in terms of power for Tupelo there. So, and here's another new enemy here, the Aegis. These guys can hit actually pretty hard too, so one of the more dangerous enemies here. Although they don't really look dangerous, they look kind of funky, like little eyes on their stalks there. I'm trying to think, they look like some monster from some other game or TV show I saw, but it's escaping me at this moment. So, ouch. Bad hit there on Tupelo. But luckily Tupelo's a pretty defensive character. Vikings are known for their sturdiness. Like I said, they and the Black Belts, I think, have the highest vitality growth out of all the characters in the game. So if you're looking to, you know, gain a lot of hit points, put the characters in either of those classes. So that's one way you can kind of cheese stat ups, level ups, at least for hit points. Because if you're like one battle away from getting a level up, you can switch your character into a class that has really high vitality, so they get a higher hit point growth that level up. So people who are like trying to really like min-max their stats will do that, because it gets them, you know, some extra hit points along the way. But if you're really like maxing out your characters, like I will for the bonus episode, you're gonna end up hitting, for the most part, you should end up hitting 9,999 hit points. You know, without trouble. So unless maybe you're just using like a base class, like that has really terrible hit point growth like the Red Wizard or the Scholar. But for me, I ended up leveling as ninjas and sages, and once I got, you know, 2 of the characters to level, to job level 99 as ninjas and job level 99 as sages, then I switched them up, and I had no problem getting, like I said, 9,999 hit points on all the characters, so... all the other stats, like, are based on whatever class you're in. The only one, like I said, that really fluctuates is the, your hit point growth. So, that's not necessarily, you know, class dependent. So if your character has 1,000 hit points as a Viking, you switch them to a Scholar, they'll still have 1,000 hit points as a Scholar. It's just that they won't gain as many hit points as if they gained a level as a Viking as opposed to a Scholar, so... We got an Ancient Sword there. It's wholly elemental, but it has pretty weak attack power, so I'm not going to bother giving it to my Knight there. So one of those items that we got there, we got 2 good items there. The Bacchus Wine, we already saw how good that was against the Salamander when we fought him back to get the Fire Crystal. Basically made that fight winnable. That Bacchus Wine is going to come in handy against Odin, because the eventual summon that we're going to get. The other item that we got was the Black Hole. That's basically an instant death item, and we're going to use it to take care of the one splitting monster that we have coming up here. So, got a new harp there for Baby Moo. Got some new, diamond stuff gives a little bit better, defense than the Viking gear, so... Give anything better to Tangeweenie for armor. But nope, stuck with the power bracelet. But we'll actually get a better weapon here now for Baby Moo. So yeah, that Lamia Harp really didn't do much. It basically was, it has a chance to put an enemy to sleep, but otherwise doesn't have much attack power. So grab some more items here. Phoenix now, we placed that one we had to use to get Tangeweenie back on her feet. So here's these 4 treasure chests. I'm going to grab this one first because it has the Triton Hammer in it, which is a really good upgrade for Tupelo. So we'll see how much better that is than the Mjolnir Hammer after battle. But remember, the good thing with this is when you get an item from a treasure chest, you can equip it in battle. You don't have to wait until after the battle's over to equip that item, because it automatically appears in your inventory, and you can just equip it right then in the middle of the battle. So, this guy's not too hard, so especially when you get a preemptive strike on him and get to go first. I guess he was all confused. He was like, "Wow, I'm finally out of this treasure chest! Yay!" And he was just so surprised that he didn't expect to see us. So let's see how much better that other hammer is. So the Triton Hammer compared to so 161 with the Triton Hammer, and with the Mjolnir was 106. So 51 more points. Yeah, 55 more points of attack. So nice. Heal ourselves up. Like I said, every single one of these treasure chests is going to have a boss monster in it, so... And here's the boss monster that splits, the Deathclaw. If you hit it, now, most of the time you'll know it's splitting enemy if they have really low experience. Like, this guy only gives you 320 experience, and I guess the reason they do that is because they figure, I guess, you know, if each time he splits, you'll get more experience. So if you hit the Deathclaw and didn't, you know, defeat him, he would split into another Deathclaw, and that Deathclaw would also be worth 320 experience. But we're not even going to bother fighting him to split him. We'll just use that black hole that we got in the treasure not too long ago. We got the Bacchus wine, and use it on him, and it takes him out. You don't have to worry about him splitting. So, get some new stronger armor there for Fang. Reflect Mail. We'll get some more of that later on. We'll get into another fight there. Let's heal up. like I said, these are a little bit tougher monsters. Blood Lance. It's like the Drain Sword, but it's for your Dragoons. It takes back hit points. They'll be really good for potentially Odin. Odin is weak to Drain attacks. And one way you can beat Odin pretty easily is just have a whole party of Dragoons again. Odin's going to be very similar to Garuda, where he has a very powerful hit-all attack. That's basically what he spams. He doesn't spam as much as Garuda does the Thunder, because sometimes Odin will do a single target attack. But a good way to avoid that hit-all attack is just have very big Dragoons and jump. But we already got rid of all our Dragoon equipment, so we'll have to take him on a harder way. We already saw this zombie dragon. It was in the ancient ruins that we went into near where Une's shrine is. That was the dungeon where we couldn't go any deeper because the cave-in with the adamantite was blocking the way. So yeah, that monster was pretty tough, but as you can see, we've gotten a lot tougher too. We managed to take it out pretty easily, so get some, like I said, good experience. And with that, we have successfully looted this entire cave. So, like I said, got some good bonus equipment for our characters. Gonna have to sell a bunch of this stuff off. We'll head back to Amor and sell a bunch of that stuff because we have more dungeons to explore and we want to have a lot of free inventory space for them. But in the meantime, we'll just walk on out, and since we don't have to get any treasures, it's a pretty short walk, so that's nice. Like I said, I end up gaining 2 levels through this cave, so I used a lot of high potions. I think I came in here with 90 high potions, so if that was the case, I used 33 of them. Probably still gonna have to use a little bit more, but like I said, money isn't too much of a problem for us anymore, so feel free to, use it up on those high potions. Because most of the good equipment that we're going to use from now on is all going to be stuff that we're going to find in dungeons. Not much to really buy. So, alright. Well now, instead of heading down more, there's another shop, but those Ancient Ruins has a shop, so we'll just end up selling in that before we go into the dungeons. So, but before we can go there, we have to wake up Une. So let's head on into Une's shrine here and finally put that Noah's loot to use. Take care, see you next time. Bye.